This couple just got permits to turn their recently purchased property into 6 income streams and making upwards of $50,000 a month. This all started with just an average farmhouse in the middle of nowhere, Washington State. And there are 3 things that they can teach you about their land hack that can literally save you fortunes from buying the wrong property. If you want, to do anything like this, own a beautiful piece of property, run a successful business, and then of course replace your day job. Meet Wildland Farms, acquired, created, and ran by Lauren and Stan. 2 clients of mine who got this property cash flowing within 2 months and have plans and permits to expand to 3 dome tents and eventually a wedding venue. That's right, the all-encompassing, coveted event center. By the way, this is what I call land hacking, and we have a whole community of people just like Lauren and Stan in my land hacker program. We're enrolling folks right now who are interested in replacing their day income with 1 property right now. I've got a couple of ways for you to work and learn from me and our group of phenomenal folks just like this. Click on the link just down below in the description and set up a free call with me or someone on my team and see if it's a good fit for you. But going back to Stan and Lauren, boy, do they have the right property to do all of this.
I'm Stan. I'm an endodontist. I live in Bellevue. We live in Bellevue, Washington.
And I'm Lauren. I am a stay-at-home mom for the most part. Also have a background in project management and consulting, living in Bellevue with our 2 kids.
Like most people, they wanted to invest in real estate, but unlike most, they bought land. A lot of it. 56 acres to be exact. Buy land. They aren't making any more of it. Once said by Mark Twain. Pretty sure that he was Southern. Now, he was a prolific author and storyteller, but not so great of an entrepreneur. However, an actual prolific real estate entrepreneur named Robert Kiyosaki wrote a book called Cash Flow Quadrant, which happens to be a life-changing book to a younger Kai, teaching readers how to move from being employed to a business owner and then ultimately an investor. And that's exactly the strategy here on Wildland Farms. It also happens to be the first of their lessons when it comes to investing in land hacking. Look at real estate investing as a business and how you can get the highest return for each dollar that you put into that business. Now, most people don't understand that the massive returns is not from just buying and holding property. It's actually when you're able to generate sustainable cash flows and you create and build equity. Now, this is where things get interesting.
We started out looking for a property that was maybe 1, 2, 3 acres. And so we wanted to do a glam site. We were looking for maybe $200,000 range property.
Now, they had originally only wanted a small piece of land between 3 to 5 acres just for a glam site, but they ended up buying a 56-acre property for $850,000, more than 4 times more than they originally wanted to spend.
The view. When we saw the photos online of this place, it blew us away. Mount Rainier has always been a magical place for us to visit as a family. We could never find the right accommodation, and it's too far away for a day trip from Seattle, Bellevue area. That presented quite a challenge for our family. So when we stumbled upon this property, we literally drove by it and went, wow. We saw the mountain came out that day, and Lauren was just besides herself. Yep.
Know that it was the property that we were looking for.
We were just in the beginning of our property search, and this was way out of our budget, like 4 times out of our budget. When we saw the potential of this property and the $1 million view, we knew this was the right place for us, and we could potentially get multiple income streams. It's not just a romantic idea of it, it's a, wow, this place really has a lot of land. And with that view, with a lot of the difference in terrain, we could do a lot with it. And your video, Rob's video kind of came up about land hacking, sort of providing multiple different kinds of income stream and interests on the same site. Instead of buying 2, 3, 4 smaller properties, we might as well just get them all under one roof.
Now, these 2 really went above their comfort zone and saw a diamond in the rough. I mean, this place has breathtaking views, private property, and away from the road and neighbors. It has flexible zoning. Yes. And already built home with all utilities pulled along with permits. That checks pretty much every single one of my boxes. Man, I'm ready to get married to this thing. But it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows when they first got it. Like we teach in the Land Hacker system, we want homes that need a little bit of work. That way there's still room to create equity, but more importantly is to design and build out a space that is going to bring us 5-star guests and generate the revenue that we want through short-term rentals. Stan and Lauren had a little bit of work to do to get this place up to par. They even hired some little helpers to try and speed things up, but I'm pretty sure they just ended up making things take longer. Now, the before and after after was subtle, but made all the difference when it came to making the space a private retreat experience for their guests, leading them to a near 5-star review and generating almost $8,000 a month from a single door. Not too bad. Considering all expenses are around $3,500, $3,440 to be exact, they're making a pretty decent amount so far. But they wanted to expand.
I think it's multiple phases. And phase number 1 was to get this farmhouse up and running, which I think, if I can speak for Lauren, we're very happy with how it turned out. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears. Only on my end, of course. That's phase 1. Phase 2.
So phase 2, we're planning to build a geodome. We have all of the permits in hand, the build plans, everything is ready.
The geodome permitting process took about a year because we're trailblazing. All the people at the county have no idea what we're talking about or doing, and they're trying to fit us in a box and get all the right paperwork, talk to the right people to write new regulations for it. I think geodomes are super cool.
And then also a wedding venue would be kind of phase 3. So phase 3, we've started working on the barn already and revamping it so that it can be event space. As long as the venue space is below 5,000 square feet, then they can actually just, the guy that I talked to in the permitting office can give us a conditional approval. If it gets larger than 5,000 square feet, it has to requires a special use permit.
Special use is the word. Yeah. You want to hear about phase 4?
Yeah, what's phase 4?
Well, not really a phase. It's down there at the fields. It's so beautiful. I mean, I think Lauren's dream is to make it into some kind of flower farm where we can have attractions.
And we invite guests to come be our, be farm workers for the weekend if they want and help us during harvest season. So during harvest season every year, we advertise for guests to come stay and help us with harvest. And then that's our U-Pick harvest income.
And this is where most people get shut down, and I've unfortunately had to break this to a couple of folks who purchased properties before they even spoke to me. The wrong zoning, local regulations, and lack of permitting can single-handedly destroy an investment property or land hack, unfortunately.
We are qualified to have, all kinds of things on this property. Anything from a campground to a hotel to a gas station, an airstrip if we wanted. It was the category is immense and it covers so much. Another reason that we picked this property exactly is because it's in Lewis County, which is a much more rural county than the county next to us, which is Pierce County.
And that takes us to lesson number 2. You want to find and work with counties in the fringes and that are flexible with permitting for structures and activities that you want to create.
I don't know how we would have permitted in Pierce County.
I don't think we could have.
I don't know that we would have gotten it done. So what we ended up doing, we took our plans to them, showed them exactly what we were planning to do, and they're calling our geodome a detached bedroom. As long as it is a bedroom without a full stove and oven, then it qualifies as a bedroom and it's not an ADU. So we are required to have an agricultural component here, which luckily we have an orchard that's already established.
That came with property.
Just coming into maturity. And so we have our U-Pick orchard and we invite guests to come be our, be farm workers for the weekend if they want and help us during harvest season.
Now, this is actually where the bulk of the research should really always fall before you buy a property. Standalone is no different. It almost always comes back to zoning. Always. That's if you want to land hack a property and create multiple income streams. Now that they have the right permits and the property is stabilized and cash flowing, they have started phase 2 on the dome glamp site build out. This should cost them around $30,000 each, but generate an additional $4,000 a month. With 3 of these, that should be about $10,000, $12,000 a month. Not too bad. Peak months, maybe even $15,000 to $20,000. Then phase 3 is gonna be the wedding venue or the event center, which is, it's actually both, which can easily generate between $20,000 to $30,000 a month during peak seasons, and as they expand and grow, this number could even get up to the $50,000, $60,000 a month. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Didn't I say 6 income streams in the very beginning? Yes, I did. The 6th is the mature orchard of apples and cherries that they have on the farm. Now, it's not so much about the income that they'll generate off of this. It's actually something what we call a loss leader, sort of. Now, the importance of this income producing orchard is that it plays into the zoning and flexibility to have the glamp grounds and event center. My land hacking students and I call this zoning stacking. And if you want to learn more about that, come and set up a call with either me or somebody on my team. Link just down below and we'll see if the land hacking program is a good fit for you. And with that, that's their next roadblock, construction interruption. They're already working on a solution on how to build out phase 2, 3, and 4, which we haven't really talked about yet, which is going to be putting in trails and picnic areas while operating the existing rental or rentals. Now, you all know that I'm a numbers guy, and I want to know how much it cost me to build something like this myself in an area of my choice. So while I was visiting the farm, I took a lot of footage and worked really hard at measuring everything out and documenting every square inch of this home. Just kidding. Not really. Stan and Lauren actually had the perfect floor plan layout with measurements already for me. So I just used that, which is really nice for me to run calcs. So the space is literally a perfect rectangle, which if you don't know in construction, boxes or perfect boxes are much easier and less expensive to build. It also makes it a whole lot easier for me to run numbers. So some basic math to figure out conditioned square footage here, which is just 30 feet by 45 feet, giving us a total of 1,350 square feet. Now, right now, I know that I can build for between $150 to $190 per square foot for something like this. That's an 8 out of 10 in quality. A 10 out of 10 is something like out of MTV Cribs, crazy wild type of stuff for you folks who are old enough to remember MTV Cribs. But the cost per square foot comes out to be right between $202,500 and $256,500. Not too bad. Factoring in that rural permits, utilities, and access ways will generally be around $100,000 for something of this size. So this build would actually be closer to between $300,000 to $350,000 if you or I were to hire a crew to build it all out. Now, considering that this place makes between $4,000 to $8,000 a month, that would more than cover the mortgage, not even considering the land hack revenues that's down the road. But let's jump into my deal analysis spreadsheet and check out the numbers behind the property. Now, this is a spreadsheet that you guys can download for free just down below in the description. Click on that link, it'll take you to a place where you can put in your email and I'll send this to you. This is something that I've used literally probably several hundreds, maybe thousands of times over the years. It's been a couple of reiterations of it and it's evolved over time, but essentially it's the same thing. This is something that I call projections, performance, unit economics, P&Ls. You can call it whatever you want to call it. To me, I really consider this the economics of a company. I'm sorry, not a company, the economics of a property. All right, so how to break it down real quick. Looking at this, we have the purchase price in here that we know that they put 200 and it's actually 215,000 down payment. Improvements, we're gonna have to make a rough estimate here just because they haven't done everything yet, but we're gonna say to get them through phase 3 or get them up to phase 3, it's gonna be about $140,000 investment. This includes what they've already put in. Okay, so we're up here in this area right here. And the next thing that we need to figure out is obviously all the fixed expenses. This is super important when you're trying to figure out what you can afford and if you're gonna be able to cash flow. Remember, cash flow is critical to obviously any investment in any business. We're creating a business that we can further invest into. So I got all the numbers from them. You can see it right here. I got this straight from Stan and Lauren. And then what we do is down here is that we start plugging in numbers, or you can just start plugging in numbers based off what your assumptions are. Now, what we had to do here, that's gonna be a little bit different. You're like, what the heck? Why do you have January at 124 nights? You have February at 112 nights. The reason behind that is because we have more than one door. Now, typically I use this for, just looking at buying one house, one property, or one door, one property. But in this case, they're gonna have 4 doors for one property, right? The main house, the farmhouse, and then the 3 dome tents. If there's 4 doors, that means that there's upwards of 124 nights potentially being able to be rent out in January, right? 31 nights times 4. And then what we do is we figure out what the average nightly rate here. Clearly you can get a lot more nuance with this if you want to break it apart, but we're just gonna do averages here. And then we're gonna do an occupancy rate. And then obviously the average number of stays, because this is gonna help dictate the number of cleans, all that stuff, okay? So enough explaining that. So that's basically, we do that for the full year. And what that comes out to be is that pre-tax profits is gonna be about $136,000 a year. Pretty dang good salary. I believe that's right up there with like a manager in programming or engineering or something. Now, what's more important is that we wanna figure out what's their return on their investment, or their cash on cash return. And so we'll get up here, we'll see all these numbers that's already pre-calculated, is that their payout is 2.6 years. Not bad. You guys know that I like to aim for at least 3 years or below 3 years. And here they're at 2.6 years. And they still have room to grow because we haven't even factored in the wedding venue yet. And then, so the cash on cash return is 38%. I really like that. 5-year internal rate of return is 11%. And then their 5-year equity multiple is 2.5 times or 2 times their initial investment, which is not that bad at all. All said and done, this property is looking pretty good, considering that once they get it up and stabilized again, because each phase you have to stabilize it, they'll be making well over 6 figures a year after expenses. And we're looking at gross revenues of close, if not just over $250,000, taking these assumptions into play. And after all of that, it takes us to the last lesson that we can learn from Lauren and Stan and this cash cow of a property. The traditional rules of real estate, curb appeals, school districts, and being close to freeways are evolving. In today's gig economy, internet of everything, and an entire generation seeking adventure, talking to us right now, it's about the views, zoning, and multiple income stream potential. The old days of just buying a home in the suburb being the best investment is behind us. This is the new wave of how to invest in real estate and to make a small fortune, sometimes very large fortunes. Now, I'll be releasing more videos of my students and other unique properties just like this. And if you like it, subscribe and tell me down below. And if you want to actually learn in way more depth how to do what Lauren and Stan are doing, go to my website right now, kaiandrew.com, and set up a call to talk with me or someone on my team to see if one of my programs is a good fit for you. Otherwise, watch this video here on how these $4,000 A-frames are making over $120,000 a year. Love you. Bye.